Hi, this is Gilbert from Realityloop. Today we'll be showing you how to set up Nginx, MariaDB, PHP and Aegir on OS X. We've found Aegir to be a real time saver, a great tool for deploying Drupal websites, and we wanted to set this up in our own local development environment. So first we'll get on to installing the base requirements, which is Xcode, and you can install that from the Mac App Store. Just search for Xcode and then click the download link, which is the free button, and that will download the installer application, which you then later run. And also we'll need to install Homebrew, which you can find, follow the documentation, but you basically go to a terminal and paste the following command, and that will download and install Homebrew. And then after that's installed, we want to install Homebrew Alt, which you'll see me paste in shortly. This allows us to download and compile Nginx, MariaDB and PHP. So that's installed. And then we're downloading Homebrew Alt, which allows us to do PHP, because PHP is built in by default and normally Homebrew doesn't allow you to do that. Then we're going to add the path for Homebrew into our path. And when I open a new terminal, use a local bins in my path. I'll use a local sbin, sorry. Now we'll move on to installing Bind, which is a DNS service, and we want to use this for wildcard DNS so that the top level domain that we create is resolved locally. So first you want to back up the default configuration and then generate a key file. And then we want to edit the comp file and add in Google DNS as the secondary DNS, which you'll see me paste in here. And then we want to add in the zone for the LD, which is what we've used here for our top level domain for local development. And that references the settings for the LD domain, which we'll create now, and paste in this following information. So this tells it to resolve everything at localhost. Then we can do some tests to make sure everything's working properly, and you'll see here it's set OK. And then we go into our network settings, and we need to configure all of our network connections. So if you have a wireless as well, you need to go into the DNS settings for that and enter your local host 127.0.0.1. And then we'll launch, set the bind to run on starter. And then we dig that and we'll see that there's no error just there. That means it's all working well. And then we can ping, and we'll see that traffic is pinging. And then we'll set our local host name, which is required later on for setting up Aegir. Now we're going to install Nginx, which we'll do using Homebrew. So we're going to first disable Apache from running. And then we need to make a change. Well, you don't need to make this change. We'll make a change so that Nginx runs with debug in case you need to debug anything. This is optional though. And then we run the command to install. This will download the required components and then compile Nginx. I've sped this process up to make it a bit quicker. So then we want to back up the default configurations for Nginx as follows. And then download the Nginx configuration file that we've set up for you and replace the username with the username that you normally log in with. In this case it's Realityloop for us. And then save the file. And then we're just making some directories so that console application will display log files. Now we're going to install MariaDB. Again, this is using Homebrew. And again, we've sped this process up by editing the video, so it will take a bit longer for you. Now it's quite important here, once MariaDB is installed, you'll get some prompts for commands that you can run. And at this stage, you only want to run the MySQL_install_db. If you do stuff after that, what it prompts after you run that, then you'll have problems later. We have those commands happening later on in the process. So now we want to unset the temp dir and then MySQL install DB. And then we're going to install PHP or update PHP. And first we're going to back up the default Apple version and then use brew to install with MySQL and with FPM, which are requirements. FPM is a requirement for getting Nginx to work, and MySQL uses MariaDB as their feature compatible. For some reason, PHP needs Java, so you might get prompted to install that if you don't already have it installed. So just follow through the prompts. And there we go. And then you'll see the rest of the the compilation process continue. And once that completes, we'll want to copy the default PHP FPM conf into user local etc, which you'll see me do in a second. Bear in mind the PHP compilation process does take quite a while. Again, I've sped this up by editing the video. I've purposely left in all of the output just so you can see all of the process though. So there we go, PHP is installed. Now I'm making a backup of, or copying the PHP FPM conf, and then we'll link that to the correct directory. And then we want to edit that, and we want to update the user and group sections, as you'll see me do. And we want to add the PID file so that the task can be killed by our startup scripts later on. And then now I'll move down to edit the user and group that PHP FPM runs as. And then we want to remove the semicolon from the start of the following lines. It's for the number of processes that PHP FPM use. We've just left the defaults. You might be able to reduce or increase these if you need, but we've found the defaults to be quite sufficient. And then save that. And then we're going to make the directories for the log files so that it also shows up in console application. Then we want to edit the PHP INI and add our time zone. For us, it's Australia and Melbourne. And also update the memory limit. You might also want to set the maximum posts and maximum file upload while you're doing this. I'm not showing that here, but you should be able to find out how to do that by documentation at drupal.org. And now we're going to download the launch daemons so that the processes all run automatically on startup. So first you'll need to become root, and then download the plists that we've created as follows, and then copy the MariaDB plist. And now we'll do a restart of the computer. And this is to ensure that all of the processes are running properly on startup, and also to complete the MariaDB setup process. So we'll run the MariaDB completion process and just follow the prompts, setting your own password for MySQL. And now we're going to move on to installing Drush and Aegir. So we just chose to put it in var Aegir as per if you were setting up on your own server. And change permissions of it, of the directory. And then we need to add the ability for your own user to restart Nginx. And then we're going to manually download Drush and extract it. And then remove the archive. We want to make a symbolic link so that Drush will be in the path. Now Drush gets downloaded into your own user path. So we want to download Drush make, again into our home folder, and updating with your own username. And then provision, which is part of Aegir. And then there's a patch to enable Nginx to work on a Mac. Which in the text explanation of how to do all of this, the patch file is linked directly. But here I'm just updating this manually. Hopefully this won't be required once Aegir 6, Aegir version 1.5 is released. Hopefully the patch will be included and you won't need to do these changes. And save that, and then we can run the hostmaster installation. Oh, sorry, no. Linking the Nginx config into the Aegir conf so that your virtual hosts become available in Nginx. And then we want to ensure that your own user is in the www group so that it can work with PHP FPM. And now we're installing hostmaster. And we used aegir.ld as our local domain. entered our MySQL password that we set earlier when we were setting up MariaDB, and then proceed with the installation. If everything's gone according to plan, all of this should complete properly. It does take a little while. And then you'll get a link that you can copy and paste into your browser to access your site for your host master installation for the first time. So I'll open up Safari, and that's an old address, but I'll just replace that. And you'll see that we get the opportunity to log in and reset the admin password. So now I'll just show you everything's there, and what we'll do now is we'll go into a terminal, and I'm going to create a symlink so that the sites directory in your own home directory is where you can put all of your platforms rather than putting it in var Aegir, and we'll symlink that back into var Aegir platforms as such. So you'll replace Realityloop with your own username in those commands. And if we go into the sites directory, and then we'll use Drush to download Drupal 7.8, and then go back to Safari, and we can create a platform using that. And in the publish path, we still use var Aegir platforms, which is what you'll most commonly use if you're in a production environment. So we chose to do it this way because we like to keep it as close as possible to our production, even though we're on a different operating system. But so now the platform's verified, we'll go and create an actual site. Again, I've sped this up with editing so we don't have to wait so long. And we can do a standard installation and save that. And our site's installed, and then we can click the login link, which the first time you click it will actually take you as it with the login reset password command. And you'll see d78.ld, so we're aliasing everything to localhost, and it's getting served correctly. And we really do think it's awesome, and as you'll see, welcome to awesome. If you've got something useful out of this tutorial, we really hope you tweet and let others know about it. We've had a lot of fun getting to this point, and we hope you enjoy it too.